Good morning. It's Tuesday, May 1st. Our top story today is about the signing of Japanese contracts for Newfoundland snow crab. A number of packers have reported selling loads at the level of 475 FOB plant. The majority of these contracts are for what they call a minimum guarantee price, in that there's room for the prices to go up if demand proves stronger than expected. Although the volumes are still quite low, all of the major Japanese companies have signed on to some contracts at this price, and there appears to be a firming up or a stability in at least the Japanese interest in Newfoundland crab as a result. A number of plants are packing for their normal Japanese partners. There's some indication that in some cases the Japanese partners want to increase their order, or new partners want to come into a particular plant, and in some cases capacity is constraining this. So the Japanese and the Newfoundland packers appear to have been settled and have settled on a price of about $4.75, which is almost $1 less than what the price was last May 1st. It's about 75 yen less, and the Japanese do appear to be able to make their sales and market work at this price. In terms of landings, the Gulf is about 45% done, Newfoundland's around 23% already, and this is May 1st. This fishery is prosecuting at a much faster pace than last year. Looking at my own historical records and going back 10 years or so, the third week in May is about the time when you most expect snow crab prices to bottom out from the Canadian fishery, because at that point what's going to be produced is fairly clear, and buyers who need to make volume commitments or long-term contracts have generally stepped in to the market. This year that may happen a little bit earlier given the faster pace of the fishery and the sense that there is developing a Japanese consensus at a 475 FOB Newfoundland. Now, in some years, the Japanese price in Newfoundland has actually ended up being higher than the overall average price in the U.S. And the strength of the Japanese market is not saying that there's not some weakness in the U.S. crab market as well. But in analyzing the market, you really got to look at the different sectors and usages for crab. Some are stronger than others. Now with Japan, not only are they seeking meat for packing in China, but there's also an increased number of packers who are producing orders for raw crab, raw frozen crab, raw frozen parts. And this has become an important part of the Japanese purchase out of Newfoundland, as their access to live snow crab in Hokkaido has significantly decreased. So that's adding to the total Japanese buy. We've also seen continued retail interest in crab promotion. And judging from some of the emails that I've been shown by some packers, there's certainly significant retail interest in committing to snow crab again this year, knowing that prices are going to be lower. Probably the biggest weakness, or the biggest sector that is experiencing weakness in the snow crab market in the U.S. is the Asian buffets and sort of the general food service sector. The Asian buffets are concentrated in the southeastern portion of the U.S., and their customers are among those who have been hardest hit with unemployment and recession and housing problems. And as a result, this market is still very, very weak. So what we get is a very uneven picture, where some parts of the crab market are in fact strong, they're taking volume, they're anxious, they're going to maintain these price levels, whereas there are other parts of the market that are very weak and will do opportunistic buys. So I think in the next 2 weeks the crab market in general is going to stabilize, and there will be a fairly good consensus on what the value of the pack is coming out of Atlantic Canada this year. Finally, Alaska. Alaska has about 20 million pounds of crab to go. It's May 1st. As everybody knows, ice has been terrible this season. This amount can be caught It's going to require a step up in effort, but it is likely to be caught, particularly if the western district of some of the season is open until the end of May. The Alaska packers operating full bore have a capacity of about 1 million pounds a day, and if the fishing is good, then there's certainly enough time to get this pack in. In Lexington, Mass., this is John Sack.